What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we're here to do a quick Man City video. It's not a transfer update, it's more just a little general discussion. I'm going to be looking at 5 players that Man City should sell. I've tried to word this as properly as I can. I've tried to think could sell. I've gone for instead should. So these are players that I think, for the good of the club and or for the good of their career, should leave Man City. All these are in no particular order. All these, in my opinion, should be permanent transfers. I can't possibly cover loans because there's too many youngsters. There's too much to cover. And in my opinion, when you're a senior player or a former senior player, you shouldn't be getting loaned out season after season. Should really be sold. So, helps them settle and know where they'll be season after season. So there's a few players I want to mention before I get on with these five players. So Marlos Moreno, he's out in South America. He's out on loan. And my complete honest opinion is he'll never be good enough for Man City. He's not really cracked Europe, and I think it'd be best for Man City just to say it's been a flop and sell him over to South America and let him develop for the good of him and for the good of the club, because he's doing no one any favours. Just keep loaning him here, there and everywhere. Also Jason Denayer, I think he's been completely underutilised at Man City. His chance came where he should have been given the chance. Back when he had that Celtic loan and then his first season in Turkey as well, he should have been given a chance at Man City. He wasn't. He's carried on being out on loan and he's still at our club. You know what I mean? These are players that we shouldn't really be having. Yaya Touré's already left. He's a free contract. We'll have to see where he ends up. And Pablo Maffeo, our youngster, he's already left as well. He's gone to Stuttgart for nearly £9 million. So that brings us up to date with where we stand with the outgoings at Man City. So I'm going to be discussing now, like I said, no particular order, the 5 players that we should sell. So first up, in my opinion, is Joe Hart. I don't think anyone's going to disagree. We all know that Joe Hart isn't going to sit on Man City's bench. He isn't at the level of what Ederson is at now. He isn't what Pep Guardiola is looking for. He's gone out on loan to Torino in Italy last season. Wasn't very good. They weren't impressed to send him back. We sent him out on loan to West Ham, and twice in the season he's lost his place to Adrian, who, let's face it, isn't the best goalkeeper out there. Joe Hart couldn't even sustain himself as the #1 at West Ham, and West Ham ended up finishing in the bottom half of the Premier League, so future's not looking too great for Joe Hart. There is a ray of sunshine, though, there. A couple of clubs in the Premier League have declared their interest in him. I'm sure that teams in America will probably be after him, and it'd be interesting now that West Ham have appointed Manuel Pellegrini as their manager, whether West Ham will end up going in for Joe Hart, because they've already gone in for Zabaleta. Apparently they want a loan for Phil Foden. Apparently they want Yaya Touré. Manuel Pellegrini was a big fan of Joe Hart, let's not forget that, so he maybe will end up back at West Ham. We'll have to wait and see on them developments. Like I said, Pellegrini's only been appointed this morning, so impossible to tell for that, but I don't think Joe Hart should be at Man City. Certainly not being loaned out. It's just doing nothing for Joe Hart, and it makes him feel incredibly unsettled. It makes me sad seeing a player that gave his all for Man City ending up how it's ended up. It's really sad. Next up, another goalkeeper. I've put in closed brackets because one of these 2 players has to leave. I've put Angus Gunn. Angus Gunn's been linked with a loan move to Leeds United, which is complete trash. If you check me out on Twitter, you'll have seen my opinions on that. Disgusting. That shouldn't happen. He went out on loan, had a very impressive season at Norwich. The last thing Angus Gunn needs in his development is a sideways step. If you go into loan players, it's so critical to the player's development that they get loaned to the right club. And loaning him to Leeds, in my opinion, they're in a similar situation to what Norwich are. They're a team that probably aren't going to get relegated from the Championship. They're a little bit away off from the playoffs, so they're probably not going to be in the Premier League in the next season or 2. Norwich, Leeds, mid-table Championship. I fail to see why Angus Gunn should be there on loan. He's already done it in the Championship. He's already proved he was good enough. It's his Patrick Roberts situation again. He's proved he's good enough in the SPL. So why he went again there to the Champions, I do not know. Why we'd loan Angus Gunn to a similar club to Norwich, I do not know. I fail to see what Angus Gunn needs to prove. He's proved everything. He's proved he's a solid goalkeeper. He needs to get to that next level, and his next level has to be a top Championship side. A couple of the Premier League sides have just been relegated. Butland's probably going to be leaving Stoke, so Stoke will be looking for a new goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? He's got to be looking for that, or at least a lower Premier League side. He's a really, really good goalkeeper, and in my opinion, Man City are just going to keep loaning him out. He hasn't got a he hasn't got a chance at Manchester City. Claudio Bravo won't leave. I put Claudio Bravo, by the way, in the slash, because if Claudio Bravo does get sold, and that does happen, very unlikely, by the way, then Angus Gunn, in my opinion, should stay for at least a season so he can develop around the first team and use him as backup so he can play the odd Premier League games and the Cup games and the FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League games that don't mean anything. He'd obviously be able to get 10, 15 games for Man City, but the training, the academy and everything, you'd be able to, Angus Gunn would be able to progress a little bit, but him going to anywhere other than doing that role at Man City has to be a permanent move, in my opinion, if he is going to be sold. I won't mind a loan move for him to a top Championship / lower Premier League side, see how he performs. That'll get his value up, but at the moment I'm not too sure that his value will go up any more than what it is, and I'm fairly sure that Man City, like Pablo Maffeo has left, we could do it with Angus Gunn and still get a considerable amount of money. What I consider a considerable amount of money for Angus Gunn, a goalkeeper, young goalkeeper, I do not know. I'll leave that for you to leave in the comments below, but I see his career to progress has to be away from Manchester City. He isn't going to replace Ederson, so therefore no future at Man City, and the easiest way for him to settle down is to leave permanently. Next player up is Eloquent Mangala. That doesn't really need me adding anything else onto it. He's been at Man City. His stay, although he did fine for us last season in parts, his stay at Man City is long overdue. Where he'll end up next, I do not know. Probably West Ham as well. Pellegrini was a fan of Mangala as well. I think he's a good defender at times. As long as you know how to utilise Mangala, you'll get the most out of him. If you don't know how to utilise him, when to play him and who to play him against, he'll make a lot of mistakes. And why Man City paid £30 million for him, I really do not know. And why he's at Man City still, again, I really do not know. I was a bit disappointed that Tosin Adarabioyo didn't get given a chance, and Mangala got games ahead of him, considering his future won't be at Man City. So that needs clarifying this summer. Next up is Patrick Roberts. Again, he's getting linked with moves to the Premier League. He said that he wants to leave Celtic. He's done his second loan spell there, been hampered by injuries. He wants to go to that next level. He wants to do well in the Premier League. He needs to go and play competitive football where he's getting challenged week in, week out. So I sense a Premier League move there. We might be looking at a loan, and like I said, he isn't good enough now to get in Man City's squad, so he's not going to be good enough in a year's time to get in Man City's squad. Now would be a good time to sell him, because I think we'd be able to get a decent amount for him. A young, homegrown player. He's hungry. He's quite skillful. He works hard. We could get a lot of money for him. So I see it's an ideal chance to sell. And last up, and this is probably the most controversial, so if you disagree, let me know in the comments, but player I think that's got no future at Man City is Alexander Zinchenko. All this stuff about Instagram and him coming out with these comments that were mistranslated about him being unhappy in Manchester. I'm not too sure what that was all about. All I know is that Zinchenko, going forward and being an attacker for Man City, he isn't at that level. I don't think he's anywhere near that level to be at Man City. He's had to drop in at left back. Benjamin Mendy's coming back from fitness. Man City are obviously going to commit with Fabian Delph going at left back, because he's been our most solid left back this season, and it'll keep Fabian Delph in the side. Where Zinchenko will slot in then, I really do not know. Apparently he's been linked with Napoli and him heading out there in a part swap plus money cash deal for Jorginho. So whether that ends up happening, I don't know. I think it makes sense if something like that happened. I think Zinchenko's a good player. He works hard. He's skillful. I just don't think he's good enough for the level at Man City. I mean, we're a team now that's got to be challenging for every trophy that we're competing in. We're one of the best sides in the world. And that's not me being cocky or arrogant, but that's the level. We're the Premier League champions now. We need to kick on. We need to add players of quality. Our chairman's already come out and said 1 or 2 signings of players of absolute quality that can improve this side. There's players that have to leave, 2, 3 players that have to go. That are around the squad, in my opinion. So obviously we've got Mangala that will probably leave. Joe Hart will probably leave. We might see 1 or 2 youngsters leave. Zinchenko, I think, will leave as well. But like I said, you might disagree. Let me know what you think in the comments. But that's my 5 players who I think Man City should sell this summer. It's something new. I'm always talking about buying. I think it's so important in the transfer market. It's not just buying who you bring in, but also who leaves and where this leaves a gap for players to excel, or who we need to sign. I think it's very important, so I thought I'd cover this in this video. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a big thumbs up. Like I said, leave in the comments what you think of the video and these players and your opinions. Also, don't forget to check out my social media. I mentioned my Twitter. That's in the description below, along with my Instagram. You can also go and check that out. You can go and check out my second channel and my brother's partner channel, doing mixology drinks, Mix It. I'll leave the links to them at the end of the video. You can go and like and subscribe over there. That'd mean everything to me. And I'll see you all again for daily contented football videos. And we've got a Man City transfer update. Not the daily ones. I'll start that in about a week or two's time. But we've got a transfer update coming at some point in this week. So probably in a day or two. You can go check that out as well if you're watching a little bit later. And I'll see you all then. So it's been JSGC. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace. Ciao for now.